of your biggest jobs and one of the best things that you can do is to simplify. So before we go and figure out what to do, we got to figure out where should we stop doing? Where should we cut out? What is not essential? What's not making an impact? Because the 80-20 rule is real. 80% of the results and output that we have comes from only 20% of our efforts.
Hey, y'all, Perry Jeffries here. Welcome to this episode of Cash Flow Unlocked. I'm super excited about this particular interview today. One reason because I'm actually going to introduce you to and interview one of my first business coaches ever. So this gentleman has a warm place in our family's heart. He calls our daughters his nieces. I know I can reach out to him with any questions I have. I'll share a little bit about how we met each other in the past. But with no further ado, because I want to get right into this information, because I know this gentleman is just a wealth of knowledge. I introduce my friend, the CEO of 2X, Austin Netzley. Austin, what's up, baby?
Perry, my dude. I hope the girls and Sarah aren't listening to this because I'm your number one fan, and it's such a pleasure to be on this show. Let's talk about cash flow. Let's talk about unlocking some stuff. I'm ready, man. Let's go.
And let's get right to it. So I think we would be doing the audience a disservice if I didn't tell them my story with you. So my story with Austin, I believe this goes back to probably 2016, 2017. We got connected through another influencer. I was in a mastermind that Austin was conducting, helping entrepreneurs become authors, author their first book so they could have that social proof in the marketplace. From there, I gained a high level of trust with Austin, went to him one day and said, hey, man, I need to discuss my business. This is what's going on. I'm working really hard, way harder than when I was, and my revenue is down 30% year over year. And I told him, I don't need no kumbaya. I don't need no talk about no mindset and personal growth. I need somebody to eyeball what I'm doing and tell me what I need to do to fix this thing. So from there, Austin and I had this conversation. Come to find out it was a mindset issue that I had going on. And brought him on as my one of my first business coaches, and definitely a business coach that I invested a lot of money with. So from there, Austin, if I'm not mistaken, I got married. I came back from honeymoon and said, hey, man, I'm ready to rock and roll. And, I had to run it by my wife at the time. And she said, hey, if this is what you think you need to do to take our family to the next level, run with it. So from there, if my memory doesn't fail me, brother, you took my business and we 5.7 exit over that 90-day time frame, right?
90 days.
90 days, man. Yeah. So forever grateful to you for that, brother. So this is who I brought to audience. This is who I brought on to the show. This man is sharp. So let's just jump right into it, man. So I probably let's just pick it up from there.
Let's go.
Austin,
let's go. Well,
how did you help me back in 2017? What did you do?
Well, the first thing that we did is help you get out of your own way. All right. Every entrepreneur, the real problem and challenge is the person that's looking in the mirror, and what we've got to do is help get out of our own way, because there's so many things that we could be doing. There's so many moving pieces in a business. We're really good at one thing, but nobody teaches us all the hats that you need to wear in your business. And it's if you're looking at this complex thing called a business, where do you focus on? What do you need to fix? And understanding that is a really big challenge. That's why so many people get stuck. And like you said, you were working harder than ever, but your income dropped 30%. Right. And it's what do you focus on? So we just kind of helped get you clear on, hey, focus on one thing at a time. Let's build this a machine. Let's focus on systems, because systems make things much more consistent and predictable and not so reliant on you. And with just a couple of tweaks to improve your business, improve your focus, and add in systems, we got a lot more consistency. And then you were doing your magic of, selling and closing and 5.7xing in 90 days, man. That's special. You're still on the wall of fame here at 2X. And, we love to see that growth. And then the cool thing is you took so many of those lessons and principles and you went and did it later again, where you grew even further and you made some crazy amount in a 30-day period. And you came to one of our mastermind events. So it's all about getting out of the weeds, seeing exactly what's going on in your business, having a better, more simple strategy, and then building systems so that you've got the consistency. And that sets your team up for success. That sets your bank account up for success, and just drives a lot more consistency across the board. So that's what you did, is you got free. You started to leverage systems. a couple levers from there, and you're off to the races, man. And look at you now.
Man, and it's so wild because as we talk about this, it's like, all right, that was in 2017. So literally probably 6 years ago, right? Probably 5.5, 6 years ago. And so much has changed in that amount of time, right? So kind of restructuring the business and coming to you guys and saying, hey, I have a new offer. What do you think about this? Being an eyeball this. So it's a couple things, man, that I just want to make sure that our audience can really glean from our conversation. You are like the systems, Yoda, you know what I'm saying? Like Jedi when it comes to systems. And I thought I was systematic in my business until I came through your program and received coaching from you. So let's just talk about why systems are so dang on important, because we know we need to get out of our way, or we may not even know we need to get out of our way. But why are systems so important to business and being able to scale your business, man?
Yeah, great question. Everything in your business is a system. Everything is a system, or at least it should be. So everything from hiring people to firing people to getting paid to running a marketing campaign to setting up a blog post to running a Facebook ad to managing a Facebook group to doing a social media post to responding to a social media comments, to all these things can be broken down into a series of simple steps. And once we understand that and we start to build some type of way to communicate with other people or to automate or to leverage technology in some way, shape, or form, what we're doing with the system is making it easier to do over and over and over again. And once we have these in place, again, sometimes it's related to automation or using a tech tool, but most of the time it's just by mapping out what the steps are of a particular thing. And what this allows you to do, and you can do this in a bunch of different ways. You can have a checklist, you can have an SOP, you can have a project management system, you could have a video that you just record. One of our favorite things to do is just record our screen as we're doing something online and just talk through, hey, you click here and then you do this and then you have to answer this question. And you're just kind of talking through the steps of what you're doing. And now what you've got, whether you use any of those forms that I just mentioned, is now you've got something that you can hand off to other people. Because as you grow, you need people on your team. But so many people are hiring people and they're expecting them to know what we know, right? And like, they don't have your experience. They don't have all the knowledge and understanding. And they frankly, a lot of times don't have the ability to have all that, but we expect them to do that. But systems will allow you to train them in very simple bite-sized steps so that they can run that. So for instance, let's say that we create a particular system that used to take you 10 hours a week. Let's say it's related to social media and you're spending 10 hours a week on that. If we create the systems for that, which feels like a pain in the butt at the time because it's not something that's going to benefit you right today. And so many times small business owners are just so focused on bringing in cash like right now because they're not ahead financially, which is why I love the topic of this show. So if you're not ahead financially, then you're just scrapping in the short term and you never can escape the cash flow hamster wheel. So we've got to start to break that cycle, focus on the important things such as systems. But by going back to this example of social media, if we put the systems in place and you're able to offload a lot of that and take your time from 10 hours a week down to 2 hours a week, now you've got 8 hours that we can say, hey, go do this growth lever and this growth lever. And you just spend those eight hours on, let's say, getting partnerships. Well, now your business has tripled, which is just no more working hours. You're in fact potentially even working less and you have less on your plate, but it's just by freeing up time from things that you shouldn't be doing or don't need to be doing, right? So that's just one example of leveraging systems to help your team succeed, to help get things off your plate, to help make your team more successful and less reliant on you, and be able to then reshift and refocus that time for the highest impact things, because it's not a time problem. We all have the same amount of time. It's a focus and attention problem. So we've got to get focused on the right highest impact things. And most business owners are not doing that.
Wow, man, there's so many gems out of there. I'm going to just look at my notes here. There's a couple I want to pull out. One, I want to go back to the recording of the video and the SOPs. And for those who don't want to know what that is, those are your standard operating procedures, system things that are duplicated all the time. And I'll share this as just an example for our audience so they can really appreciate this. So I was talking to Austin, and when I first came on as a client, we're looking at how I went about acquiring clients as a, financial advisor at the time. And I would tell him, hey, I would meet with these people. I would meet with people, prospects, right, who either referred to me or, I contacted them, and we would have this 1.5-hour, 2-hour meeting. And we may not do any business or not. And Austin, you asked me this question, brother. You said, so what are you saying in this meeting? I said, well, I'm saying this. do you say that every meeting? I said, yeah, that's kind of my standard jam. I say the same thing every time. He said, so how about you record yourself going through everything you would do in that intro meeting? And it took me probably a couple hours to get it right. And I remember I sent it to you and you was like, hey, add some more energy to that. You sound dry like one of those boring financial advisors, right? So I added some energy to it. And it was so crazy because it was such a simple thing. Did you understand? A simple thing. But I recorded my video of what I would say in my, first meeting with anybody. So instead of having, spending 10 hours to meet with 5 people, I took a couple hours to record the video once, and thousands, hundreds of people, 1,000 people could see the same video, and I could move a lot faster through the client acquisition process. And that was just a crazy game changer for me. And it was a quick fix, but it was systematic. Right. Yep. So as the audience, as you're listening to this and you hear, because you hear a lot of people talk about systems and whatnot, I want to give it a real life example of a system that we use. So that video recording is key, because if you're saying the same thing every time or something you do every time, if you record that and hand that off to somebody, now you're saving yourself time, energy, and more than likely money. Right.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
I remember that, man. That's like one of the first things. And I was just mind blown, like, oh, my gosh, by the time people got to me, I didn't have to pitch them anything. They're like, hey, I'm ready to work with you. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, right? Yeah. So huge time saver right there.
That's a great example.
Yeah, man, absolutely, absolutely. So let's dive a little bit more into, you kind of broke down here is the baby chunks. As entrepreneurs, I think, as one of my clients said this, he's like, Perry, thank you so much, because I have entrepreneur ADD, where you go all over the place, shiny new object syndrome, doing XYZ. Kind of give us a little bit more around your methodology of breaking things down into chunks, because I think that's where we get lost. We sometimes think we need to do all these major, like move mountains, where really we just need to make baby steps. Talk a little bit more about that, brother.
Yeah. So before I even talk about the baby steps and the approach there, the thing that I want to mention is, like, one of your biggest jobs and one of the best things that you can do is to simplify. So before we go and figure out what to do, we got to figure out what should we stop doing? What should we cut out? What is not essential? What's not making an impact? Because the 80-20 rule is real. If you've heard of Pareto's principle, 80% of the results and output that we have comes from only 20% of our efforts. And that's a painful thing to really analyze. If you look at, hey, you're working really hard. If you look at the past couple months, 20% of what you're doing is actually really moving the needle. That means 80% of what we're spending our time on isn't really moving the needle in a big way. So if we can uncover that and we can see what can we cut out, how can we simplify, how can we create capacity that's not really going to make that big of an impact, that's first and foremost the best thing to do. And then from there, what we do is we break down the business into simple chunks. So we're looking at marketing, sales, and fulfillment. And if we break it down into those simple pieces, we can see from a 30,000 foot view what's going on. We track a couple numbers for each one of those 3 buckets, and we can see, hey, what do we need from a marketing standpoint to increase those leads from 4 calls per week to 8 calls per week? We can see more clearly of, hey, our sales conversion is actually only 17%. It should be like 40%. What are we doing there? But if we start to break down those individual departments and see some of the numbers show us exactly what's going on. They take out the stories and the emotions, and they show us the facts of what's working, what's not, where we need to focus, what we need to fix. And they help get your team aligned as well. And they'll just give you clarity. And then you're like laser in, you're like, all right, this month I'm going to focus on sales, and I'm going to get that conversion up from 17% to 30%. And then next month, I'm going to get it up to 40%. And if you just do that, we talked about just tripling your business there in 2 months by focusing on one number with the same number of leads and the same fulfillment and everything, let alone if we compound those things over time. So that's similar to the process that we did with you, is we started to map out your entire customer journey. And then you were just much more focused of, okay, I'm going to do these couple things for marketing. I'm going to do these couple improvements for sales. I'm going to do these couple improvements on the product side. And voila, that leads to a much bigger, better business. So breaking down the numbers, breaking it down into smaller steps will give you clarity of what you need to focus on. And like I said, the first point is let's simplify first. Let's figure out what to cut out and create.
Man, that's spot on, brother. I feel like we're going back in time, like we're having our onboarding call right now. You're like, all right, we need to do it right. I feel like we're going back in time. This is awesome. Yeah. Simplify. And the other piece, which me being a CFO, I love, is know your numbers, right? And I remember being at one of our masterminds. Actually, I think this may have been the one when we were actually in Ohio. And so many stories I want to share on this podcast. I don't know if we won't be able to get through all of them today. But I remember sitting in the room, one of our masterminds, 2X masterminds, and one of the owners in there came out and just said, "I hate numbers." Right. And it's like, wow, if you hate numbers, that's going to be tough to run a business.
Yep.
Austin, speak to that a little bit, as just a challenge that we see entrepreneurs deal with. And I see it a lot on the financial side, right? But it's not just your financial numbers. It's knowing your numbers for, like you said, your sales and your marketing and whatnot. Yeah. Why do you think so many entrepreneurs are challenged, with understanding their numbers or knowing them?
Yeah, it's a great question, a great challenge. And that example that you're referring to, this is a guy that worked with really wealthy people. He had big projects. He had a multi-7-figure business. He had a very expensive lifestyle and things. On the outside, it looked like he was wildly successful. He came to us on the brink of a breaking point of like, he wasn't making any money. He didn't know where it was going. He didn't know his financials at all. And it come to find out, a lot of the projects that he was working really hard for, and this guy was grinding, and he had a multi-7-figure business. He was losing money overall, and he was losing a ton of money on a lot of projects, but he had no idea. But by us going through the process to help him understand his financials, to understand his profitability per project and different things, he was able to see exactly which types of projects to not do, what expenses to free up, and where to really focus in on. And he went from being not profitable in a multi-7-figure business to not losing revenue and being much more profitable just by reshifting his focus, by understanding that. So if you feel like things are harder than they need to be, or if you feel like you're not sure exactly why the business bank account isn't growing, it's either related to one of the numbers that I mentioned earlier, related to marketing, sales, or fulfillment, and we just need to optimize those. Or B, it's related to your model's just not profitable, and we need to better understand what the profitability is of each of your core offers, what type of customer is most profitable, what should you be focusing on there. And again, that's on the strategy piece. So simplifying your strategy and getting clear on the numbers, these are some of the foundational things that every business owner needs to do and get into. But to answer your question of why I think a lot of people don't really do this is a lot of people aren't quote unquote numbers people, like they don't like to focus on them. And as we grow in business, we oftentimes get so busy that we're not going to do anything that's not like related to the latest fire that we have. So like going and setting up a KPI dashboard or going in, like really understanding their P&L. People don't make the time for that because that's not going to solve their, hey, I need leads and I need sales and I need revenue coming in. And there's on this short-term hamster wheel kind of a cycle. And we see it all the time. But if you can, again, start to leverage things, start to, definitely still focus on the short-term and making sure you're good there, but start to get ahead so that you can start to work on these things that are really important, but not necessarily super urgent. And if you can focus on those more, those are going to be setting you up for success. Those are things related to systems, like we were talking about earlier. Understanding your numbers, getting ahead of your financials and understanding those in detail. But the numbers, again, as we mentioned, take out all of the stories and they show you, like they'll slap you in the face of this is exactly what's going on. And they'll show you those opportunities as well. They'll show you where you need to focus, what you need to fix, what the key opportunities are to focus in on.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. It's so wild, man, because when I went through the 2X program and we lifted up the hood and looked at my business, and like I say, we didn't make major adjustments, just small adjustments, but we got crystal clear on, hey, this is where you should spend your time. Why are you doing this over here? And I remember at the time, and I know the entrepreneurs are going to appreciate this, I believe I had maybe 5 or 6 different offers out there. I think at the time, I was doing meal plans, I was doing personal training, I was writing life insurance, I was doing something else. And when we start to know our numbers, just to give everybody an example here, when we dove into those numbers, Austin, a couple of the offers that we had, I was making less than minimum wage what I was doing. But it felt good. It was like, ooh, I'm out here, I'm busy and I'm helping people. And when we start to look at the numbers, I was making something like $2, $3 an hour. And that's when the numbers slapped me in my face. So to your point about the numbers remove the emotion and the fluff and tell you exactly what's going on. When we dove into our numbers and we looked at all of these 1,000 different offers that I had, and I was making less than minimum wage, it set my butt down. I said, wow, I did not know my numbers. And I'm a financial guy. I love math. My degree's in math, right? But I wasn't looking at numbers that way. So I think that's where some people get hung up. To your point, they may not be numbers people. And they may like, hey, I struggled in math. But this is not are you good at math? This is no, you kind of need to know the numbers that you're dealing with. If you can add, subtract, multiply, and divide, you should be able to run a business. You know what I'm saying? Be at numbers. But you got to know what numbers to look at. And that's what I think where you guys are golden, because I didn't really know what numbers to look at. I was good at numbers, but I didn't know what numbers to look at, which kind of, man, leads me to my next question, man. It's like, how did you get good with numbers? Like, how did you get to this space of being able to coach and grow a 7-figure business, helping people like me understand numbers? How did you get into this space, bro?
Yeah, well, I'm actually a mechanical engineer by degree. So in college, I went to a school to becoming an engineer. I knew I didn't want to do engineering, but I wanted to understand the technical side and the background. And I was going to combine that with some sales experience and an MBA. And that was like my trifecta that was going to take me up the corporate ladder. So, in engineering school, you got to be good with the numbers. So I have a little bit different background there. But funny enough is like I went through several different businesses, everything from day trading to teaching people about money and the mindset, to a book marketing company that you mentioned, to another entrepreneur coaching company. Like everything was a stepping stone to what I do now, which would take the mechanical engineering. Now, what we actually do is we help people turn their business into a consistent, predictable machine. So the consistency, the systems, the numbers, this is all engineering. That's the approach that we take to business now to help people take back control of their time, take back control of their business, start to have a lot more consistency, and ultimately the visibility to be able to grow to the next level. So it came full circle. I never went into school with the intention of actually being an engineer, but I went to engineering school to now come to what we do now. It is pretty similar in a lot of ways.
Man, that's awesome, man. And because of that, you're able to unlock the cash flow. So we'll go back to the kind of the title of the podcast, right? So you can unlock your cash flow, because what I found out is that the cash flow was there, right? I was doing some things, but it was locked up because I was on as you said it earlier, kind of the cash flow hamster wheel, right? Doing too many things, in too many different places. So with that being said, man, do you know, and you probably do, how many businesses have you helped since you've launched 2X? Like, where's that number? How many businesses have you helped turn the corner and move the needle?
Yeah, directly, it's over 500. Nice. And indirectly, there's many thousands of people that have read my book, and a lot of people in our audience and everything. So I don't know all the people, but directly, yeah, we're over 500 businesses that we've supported over the past few years, and that's one-on-one in the trenches, guiding them and supporting them. And we hear the success stories every day, which is super special, and that's what fires me up, is seeing people like you, and now you're making a bigger impact because of coming into 2X. So like what we talk about with the team is the ripple effect of like, we want to work with great people that have businesses that should be reaching more people. And like the ripple effect that we have is awesome, man. So I'm so proud of you, and I love having you in the family. And one thing that we didn't mention here is you were actually client numero uno.
Yeah.
You didn't know it at the time that you were client number one. But you were our, I'm not going to say this, but you were our guinea pig to work through. To refine some things. But it was validation. It was validation that like, wow, there's so much more opportunity here. And Perry's just like so many other business owners. If we can help them implement systems, help them get out of their way, help them see their business, help them simplify, and help them focus on a couple levers, it's crazy what's possible. And that was really cool to work with you on that.
And I think that's a great point, man, that I want to make sure that we mention here, is that having a mentor, having a coach is so dang on important. So we talked about systems, and you being, I know you love athletics and things of that nature. And I always reference Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, Kobe and Gigi, and Michael Jordan. And I asked the question of, okay, two of the all-time basketball greats. And many people say, hey, they're the best to ever do it. And it's like, okay, cool. And what do you measure that on? Okay, you're measuring that on championships. Okay, that's fine. Let's go off to championships. But I always ask them this question. Do you know what Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant have in common with their championships? And people are like, oh, well, they were scoring and da-da-da. And I said, nope. And I go back to, my relationship with you guys. Well, guess what? Neither one of them won a championship until they had two things, a coach and a system. They both won championships with Phil Jackson as the coach, and they both won running the triangle offense, which is a system, which means it's interchangeable. You could put different players in there, but you're running the same system with the same coach. Those two combined can move the needle in a major way, y'all. That's another way to unlock your cash flow, y'all, is get you a coach with a system. So I know I was client zero, but I already had faith and a high level of respect for you because we have been working through some things and helped me come up with my entrepreneur CFO mantra. I remember I called you and like, dude, I got it. And you was like, oh, that's awesome. So many different memories on that, brother.
That's it.
Question for you, Austin, man, and I know we're coming up on our time here soon, but there's so many different things I'm gonna ask you here for our audience sake. But how do you define success in business, brother?
That's an amazing question. The way that I define success is when you're 60, 70, 80, sitting on the rocking chair and you're looking back, what would you look at what you're doing and spending your time on and the impact that you're making? Would you look at that as successful? So for every single person, that's different. And every single person, we ask what their goals are, what they want to achieve, what their vision is. And our answer is perfect. That is perfect because everybody's goals are perfect for whatever they want, right? Because we all have different goals. You have different goals than I have. Yes, we all have a lot of the same ones related to time, freedom, family, health, money, of course, yada, yada. But we all have different details around those. So everybody's goals are perfect. Everybody's measure of success is perfect. But the thing is like, we just got to stay focused on that. So what I like to do is think of the rocking chair moment, put yourself out in the future and look back and just like, if you're smiling and be like, yeah, we did it. We had a lot of failures and challenges in the day to day, but you don't remember those at that point in time. You remember the bigger picture. And like, that's what success is. So I want to be, 80 looking back and telling, my great grandkids and things like, these are the things that I did. And there's this guy, Jeffries, and he did, and this is what he did. And it's like, I want to be proud of that. That's success for me.
No doubt, man. I love that, brother. Thank you for that. I love that. I got that. I have that note right here. What is your rocking chair moment? When you look back and look at your body of work, hey, was I impactful? Did I help people? Did I live a good life? That's awesome, man. Totally awesome. I should have asked you this question early on, but I think this was the perfect timing for it. In your business and in my business as well, we are in total alignment. And what we're trying to do is create, help people reach their goals, and their goals are perfect for them, which I love that piece. And we try to do it systematically. So I do it systematically through a financial standpoint. You do it systematically through an operational standpoint, where it's going to have impact on everything, finance, sales, fulfillment and things of that nature. But I guess my question for you is, if money were infinite, so we're not worried about money anymore. You have all the money that you need. If money were infinite, what would you be doing day to day?
I love this question too. I would be reading a little bit more than I'm reading right now. I'd be creating a little bit more than I am right now. And creating for me is I think everybody has some type of creative outlet. Some people that's music, some people that's art, some people that's other forms. For me, I love to write books. So I want to write a book every year. And I've gotten away from that, but that's a big passion of mine. Every 6 to 12 months, be able to write a book. So I would be doing that more. And I love to learn. I love the game of business. So I'd be in a very similar space to what I'm doing now. And actually the vision for 2X is what I would be spending my time on. So what we have the plans for is starting with the one-on-one coaching and then ultimately creating more of a private equity model that we're investing in advising companies, but we're instead of just charging a monthly rate, we're getting a piece of the pie and really scaling them fast. So I would be accelerating that vision, having a lot of companies that we help scale up with the intention to either turn into a multi-7 or 8 figure cash cow or to exit and be looking at that. So I'd be spending my time there, but I love the game of business so much that I would be doing that. I would just be doing a little bit less of some of the operational elements. Like I wouldn't be CEO of any company. I would be doing the books and a lot of reading and learning, and then more of the big investing and advising on the leverage side.
I love it, man. I love that vision. We share that kind of share that vision as well, as far as, not just growing businesses, but actually being a part of the businesses and helping, people reach their dreams. That's outstanding. So you brought up your book. Are we on book number 1, 2? What book? Well, shoot, you might be on a couple books that I don't know about. Tell us about your book. What's the most current book, bro?
Well, this is book 2.5, but the latest book is from 6 to 7 figures, the updated version. So this is version 2, because I threw together version 1 and it was okay. But that was literally my sales pitch. I was like, hey, it's all right. Like, you should read it, but it's not like amazing. And people were like, yeah, it's not the best sales pitch, you know? So I was like, all right, let me go back and update it, because enough people enjoyed the first version that I went back and updated it. So it's from 6 to 7 figures. It's on Amazon. There's, over 100 5-star reviews. And it kind of breaks down what to do step by step to gain back control, to free up time, to start to get more momentum, to get more traction, but keep things in a simple way that you can have ultimately the life that you want. Because it's not just about growth. It's not just about money. It's about really using your business as a vehicle to create that life that you want. So that's what the intention is. You mentioned, we talked a lot about systems and numbers and some of the things that are also in the book, but it's really a systematic way to build a business that we've learned now working with hundreds and hundreds of business owners.
No doubt. Well, all right, y'all, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give my endorsement of the book, right? And full disclosure, I'm not getting paid to make this endorsement of the book. This is just what it is. And the book came out, mind you, after I had worked with Austin in 2X, right? So the book wasn't there initially, and the book came out afterwards. And I used that book for a masterclass / mastermind. And that book right there, if y'all don't have that book, I still have people who hit me up and we reference the book and we talk about the value chain. We talk about model 1. We talk about, just the different, strategies, the XDS, where you can free up time on your schedule. Hear me loud and clear, y'all. Go get the book. I'm not going to get anything on the sales of the book. I'm not here to get sales of the book. Go get the book. The book will be your operational Bible and take you to the next level. So that's my quick shout out there. Austin, I know we're coming up on the end of our time, man, and we'll have to get you back on here because there's so many more things I want to talk to you about. But let me ask you this question. What question should we be asking you? Because I admire you, even though I know I'm a little bit older than you. I don't think a lot. I might be a lot older than you, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. But you're a mentor and coach to me. And I know the impact that you've had on me, which is now allowing me to have an impact on other individuals because I use the systems that I learned from 2X, even on the financial side. To have someone like you on our podcast, what is something I should have asked you that could have been of value to our audience that I didn't think to ask?
The first thing, great question, by the way. I love this. The first thing that comes up is we talked about a lot. What's the first step? And I'm going to cheat and I'm going to give you 2. One is I would definitely say, actually, I'm going to give you 3. One is definitely get the book. It's very cheap. It's as low as it'll go on Amazon, on Kindle, and on the paperback. So get the book, like it'll guide you. Second, keep following Perry Jeffries. The guy's the man. He's going to give you like a lot of the strategies and tips and momentum that you need. But the other thing that comes up is every single week, go into a week and be thinking, what is the one single most important thing that I can do to move my business forward? Simplicity, as we talked about, is absolutely key because I could talk about getting free from the weeds. I could talk about doing the XDS as you talked about, talk about time, could talk about simplifying. Like all that's so crucial. But if you just go into every single week and you're like, this week, this is the single most important thing that I'm going to do to move my business forward, set me up in the future, 30, 60, 90 days and more later. And if you just have that focus, because there's so many things that you could focus on, but we oftentimes end a day or a week. And we're like, what did I actually work on? If you have that clarity of that one thing and you go and do that, you're going to make progress. And you're going to make progress. And you're going to make more progress. And that momentum, just priceless from a business standpoint. So get focused on one thing, one important thing, one step at a time. That's how you nail it. And do that, and you'll build that momentum in.
Brother, that is our mic drop moment. Hey, y'all, make sure you get the book. Make sure you follow. If you need some one-on-one time, reach out to my friend Austin, my coach, my friend, one of my mentors. Tell him Perry Jeffries sent you, right? Tell him you heard about him on the podcast, Cash Flow Unlocked. And that right there, brother, I think that's the perfect way to end the interview today, man, because that right there, you handed out some gems. I have my notes right here. First, get the book. I already got the book. I've already sent the book to people before. I got that whole piece, and I love this piece. Follow me. Don't forget to follow me. If y'all haven't connected with us, a couple things. Like the podcast, share the podcast, and go and follow us and connect with us inside Facebook. We have a private Facebook group called Cash Flow Unlock. Connect with us in there. It's totally free. I give trainings in there every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard on how you can unlock your mindset and in order to unlock your cash flow. And go into your week and ask yourself, what is the one thing I need to get accomplished this week? Because a lot of stuff will happen, but if you can look back at the end of that week and be like, hey, I did accomplish that one thing, that was a successful week. Do that week after week, and you will unlock your cash flow. Austin, my brother, thank you so much for jumping on here. I'll have you back on here for some more episodes because there's so much more we can talk about. But I want to go on a public record for saying thank you. Thank you to the team at 2X. Big shout out to, to my guy, Pat over there. A big shout out to all the coaches. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing in the entrepreneurial community. And thank you for being you, my friend. Any last words?
Love you, bro. I'm so proud of you. So again, it makes our day and all the time that we see people like you take some of the lessons and principles and go out and do what you're doing. You're making a big impact. And tell the girls I said, hey, because I love them too. And just proud of you, man. Keep it going.
Let's do it, brother. All right. Talk to you soon. All right, y'all. Peace.